Welcome. In this lesson, we are going to cover the topic atomic structure. We are going to cover the topic atomic structure. Atomic structure. So we will start by outlining the objectives of this lesson. So the first objective in this lesson is we should be able to describe what's an atom. We should be able to describe what's an atom. The second objective is we should be able to describe the basic structure of atoms. Be able to describe the basic structure of atoms. The third objective, we should be able to identify subatomic particles. We should be able to identify subatomic particles. The fourth and last objective, we should be able to state the relative masses and the relative charges of subatomic particles. So we move on to the first part, which is a description or a definition of an atom. Basically, we can come up with several ways of defining an atom, but in actual fact, an atom is a basic unit of all matter. An atom is considered to be a basic building component of all chemical elements. So in other words, we are saying all chemical elements are made up of these small particles which we call atoms. We move on to the basic structure of an atom. Since all chemical elements are made up of atoms, these atoms have the same basic structure. The basic structure of an atom consists of a central nucleus, which is surrounded by atomic shells or atomic orbitals. So these atomic shells or orbitals, they accommodate electrons. Then within the central nucleus we have protons and neutrons. So subatomic particles are those components that make up an atom. The components that make up an atom. So the subatomic particles are protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons, neutrons, and electrons are the subatomic particles. We go on to a detailed description of atomic structure. Several theories and models have been put forward in trying to explain the structure of atoms. So we have some models or theories. We have the Dalton's atomic theory. We have the Thomson atomic model theory. We have the Rutherford atomic theory. We have the Bohr's atomic theory. All these models and theories helped in explaining the structure of atoms. So we are not going to give a detailed description of all the atomic structure models. However, we are going to outline some points of the Dalton's atomic theory. We are going to mention some of the important points of the Dalton's atomic theory that can help us to understand the structure of atoms. So the first point under the Dalton's atomic theory is all matter is made up of small particles called atoms. All matter is made up of small particles called atoms. Then the second point is atoms are indivisible. Atoms are indivisible. Then the third point is a chemical element has the same type of atoms. A chemical element has the same type of atoms. We have different chemical elements. For example, hydrogen, magnesium, oxygen, those are chemical elements and they are made up of the same type of atoms. The fourth point is each atom has a mass. Each atom has a mass and the masses of those atoms vary from one chemical element to another. The masses of atoms vary from one chemical element to another, which means the mass of an oxygen atom is different from the mass of a hydrogen atom. Okay, the fifth point from Dalton's atomic theory is atoms can undergo rearrangement during a chemical reaction. Atoms can undergo rearrangement during a chemical reaction. So let's now look at the different subatomic particles. We shall start by describing the proton. A proton is a positively charged subatomic particle. Positively charged subatomic particle. It has a relative mass of 1. It has a relative mass of 1. And it is found in the nucleus of an atom. We go on to the neutron. A neutral does not have a charge. It is neutral. A neutron is neutral. A neutron has a relative mass of 1. A neutron has a relative mass of 1. And a neutron is located in the nucleus of an atom. We go on to an electron. An electron is a negatively charged subatomic particle. An electron is a negatively charged subatomic particle. The relative mass of an electron is very, very small. The relative mass is very small. It's a fraction 1 over 1840. 1 over 1840. The location of an electron in an atom is the atomic shells. An electron is found in the atomic shells of an atom. Let's now look at the atomic structures of some chemical elements. So we shall start by an atom of hydrogen. An atom of hydrogen has 1 proton, 1 electron, and 0 neutrons. It has 1 proton, 1 electron, and 0 neutrons. We go on to an atom of carbon. An atom of carbon has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. We go on to an atom of oxygen. An atom of oxygen has 8 protons, 8 neutrons, and 8 electrons. It has 8 protons, 8 neutrons, and 8 electrons. Now let's have a summary of what we have been discussing. So firstly, we discussed an atom as a basic unit of all chemical elements. So we want to come up with a table. In this table, we are going to summarize the relative masses, the charges, and the locations of the different subatomic particles. So we have the proton, the neutron, and the electron as our subatomic particles. Then the relative masses for a proton is 1, the relative mass for a neutron is 1, the relative mass for an electron is negligible, which is 1 over 1840. Then the charges, the charge for a proton is positive, the charge for a neutron is 0, is neutral, the charge for an electron is negative. Then the location for a proton is within the nucleus, the location for a neutron is within the nucleus, the location for an electron is the atomic shells. So from what we have been discussing, we want to come up with an exercise. So we shall answer some questions. Let's take down the questions. Question number 1 is, name the 3 subatomic particles of an atom. Question number 1, name the 3 subatomic particles of an atom. Question number 2, how do the atomic structures of isotopes differ? How do the atomic structures of isotopes differ? Question number 3, I want you to sketch structures of the following atoms. I want you to sketch atomic structures of the following atoms. The first one is an atom of helium with 2 protons, 2 electrons, and 2 neutrons. Helium, 2 protons, 2 electrons, and 2 neutrons. The second one is an atom of nitrogen with 7 protons, 7 electrons, and 7 neutrons. Nitrogen, 7 protons, 7 electrons, and 7 neutrons. Then the last one is an atom of magnesium with 12 protons, 12 electrons, and 12 neutrons. Magnesium, 12 protons, 12 electrons, and 12 neutrons. Thank you for watching. Asanteni sana, tinotenda siabonga. See you in our next lesson.